YouTube, this is Michael Cho, and I will be going by Maho Chojo. Today we'll be discussing Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Recently, it has occurred to me that due to the non-religious nature of the anime community, that a number of biblical references in Puella Magi Madoka Magica have gone overlooked, and the show is often called overhyped, and a lot of the genius is just overlooked. This will be part of a series on the literary merits of Madoka Magica. I attended Baptist school for 3 years, and in that period of time was required to take biblical studies. I will be referencing some research in order to build credibility, although I thoroughly understand the content. I do not necessarily believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible, and this information will be presented in an objective manner. This is not intended for indoctrination, nor is the series intended for indoctrination, but rather to emphasize the point of literary references, both the Bible and Faust by Johann Goethe. This explanation could contain spoilers. Text will be provided for scripture reference. First, let's talk about the Old Covenant. Many of you may have heard the term Old Covenant. The Old Covenant is an agreement. It's an agreement between God and man, as mentioned in the Old Testament, in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. This is a Jewish set of laws that is part of the Christian Bible, and also includes genealogy and all that stuff. Pretty much the history of the Israelites laws. I'll be referencing the scripture in New International Version in my explanation of both the Old and New Covenants. Again, it's an agreement. Man must obey the Old Covenant laws in exchange for blessings from God. Exodus 19, verses 5 through 6. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possessions. Although the earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. This is the Mosaic covenant, a redemptive covenant for sin, and this is meant to construct a holy nation. For obeying the covenant, the Israelites will become the chosen people of God. This includes all the laws in the Torah, such as worship, animal sacrifice, and a whole set of ethics. The Old Covenant was ratified by the shedding of blood. Leviticus 23, this is verse 12. On the day you wave the sheaf, you must sacrifice as a burnt offering to the Lord a lamb, a year old without defect. In Hebrews 8:3, every high priest is appointed to offer both gifts and sacrifices, and so it was necessary for this one also to have something to offer. So sacrifice is a reminder of sin. Sacrifice must be repeated the day before the Sabbath, and this is pointed out in Leviticus. In relationship to Madoka Magica, Akemi Homura sacrificed herself in an attempt to save Madoka from the ultimate despair multiple times on multiple timelines. This happens until Madoka essentially abolishes the Old Covenant with the New Covenant, which will be explained in a little bit. She is a sacrificial lamb, and that ratifies the agreement between magical girls that they will hunt witches until they reach the ultimate despair. At this point, there's nothing that can be done about the ultimate despair, and the cycle must be repeated. Magical girls must hunt the witches, which is the agreement or the covenant between QB, which in a sense is God, because he is in control of the natural processes of the world. The blessing is a wish, and this wish is granted in exchange for the hunting of witches. A prophecy is told in 2 Samuel 7, verses 12 through 17, of a Savior that in this case would be Jesus, which would replace the Old Covenant with the New Covenant with one final sacrifice. Again, I will reiterate that this has to do with Madoka, and while Purga's Knot symbolizes the burden of sin, and in this final battle, humanity would be free from that. In this case, sin is synonymous with grief and despair. Okay, verse 12. When your days are over and you rest with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, your own flesh and blood, and I will establish this kingdom. 13. He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. 14. I will be his father, and he will be my son. When he does wrong, I will punish him with a rod wielded by men, with the floggings inflicted by human hands. 15. But my love will never be taken away from him, as I took it away from Saul, whom I removed from before you. 16. Your house and your kingdom will endure forever. Before me, your throne will be established forever. And 17. Nathan reported to David all the words of this entire revelation. This means a Savior will come from the line of David. That would be Jesus. The perfect lamb must be sacrificed, and this one sacrifice, the perfect lamb, replaces all the weekly sacrifices. So this brings us to the new covenant. The new covenant is needed because the Israelites are sinful. They are not able to fulfill the old covenant. Hebrews 8, 7 and 8. For if there had been nothing wrong with the first covenant, no place would have been sought for another. But God found fault with the people. Magical girls, due to human weakness, are unable to uphold the covenant and then become sacrifices to make up for their shortcomings. This is why a new covenant is needed. Note that Jesus was the perfect lamb. 1 Peter 2:22. He committed no sin, and no deceit was found in his mouth. Madoka does fulfill this requirement. Madoka's mother says she has always been a good child and never lies. And according to Mommy, she is the embodiment of hope. This is again a biblical reference. Additionally, Madoka was designed by Ume Aoki to look innocent and virgin, giving her knee socks and the most childish body of all of the magical girls. It is common knowledge that Jesus died for sin. I will not provide a scriptural reference. Madoka wished to destroy all the witches, past and present, and to control the process herself. This last part is key. She ushered in a new covenant by choosing how it would be implemented. Magical girls do not become witches. Because of this, those that did not reach despair are alive again, symbolic of salvation. Sayaka is a different story that won't be addressed here. The power exerted for Madoka to implement her wish completely tarnishes her soul gem, and therefore would turn her into a witch, but because of her wish, she is not turned into a witch, she simply disappears, therefore sacrificing her entire life in order to ease the grief of humanity. And again, grief is synonymous with sin. The magical girls are relieved of their suffering, and by the perfect lamb taking on this burden, she has ushered in a new era. She's the Christ figure and the only one who could fulfill this. Again, one of the reasons she's the Christ figure is because she's the pinnacle of fate. All the multiple timelines revolve around her. One point that the series makes is that no sacrifice or no prophet, no man of God, no human can possibly take away the burden of suffering on humanity, as even after Madoka sacrifices herself, there is still despair in the form of the ghouls, or whatever they are, that torment the magical girls. The system cannot be completely overhauled, however it can be reformed. This symbolizes the transition from Judaism to Christianity. Magical girls can still die in a sense when their conscience reaches full despair, however, they do not turn into witches, and this is symbolic of salvation that Madoka provides. So the sacrifice does not need to be repeated, instead there's salvation. Again, the series is not meant to be a religious indoctrination, and it is just making literary references to literature in order to build credibility on the literary point of ethic relativity and human suffering that they're trying to make in this series. Again, this is hugely Faustian, and I will be discussing the relation to Faust in a later video. Hopefully this will clear up some of the misunderstandings about the series. Again, this much worshipped, failed pun, series is often claimed to be overhyped, and I hope I have brought to light some of the genius of this psychological masterpiece. References will be provided in the description below. Thank you for watching. From a very kawaii Maho Chojo.